Record to this computer. Hello.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hi.
Good. Hi.
Hey everybody.
Hi.
How's everybody's school week?
Busy.
It's all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fitting everything in before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. You guys going back home for well, I take it that you guys don't live in LA, do you?
No, I don't.
Are you guys going back home for the holidays or are you staying there?
Yeah, we're gonna.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
I just got home.
Cool. Nice. That's awesome.
Eliza has like connection issues, so she's just gonna be Link Square. But
Cool. Yeah, no worries.
okay. I guess we'll introduce ourselves. Hi, I'm Valerie.
Hi Val.
Hi, I'm Gracie.
Nice to meet you, Gracie.
Nice to meet you too.
And then hi Miguel. And we're students at UCLA. We're taking a Music Industry 102, which is basically an intro into the industry. And our assignment, as you know, is to interview somebody in the industry, ask them questions so we could get a first-person look at, how the industry works from your perspective as an artist. And yeah, just glad you can help us out today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys for having me. I look forward to, answering any questions that you guys may have. And hopefully
course.
you guys some kind of some insight that you might have not had maybe. But
Yeah.
cool.
Eliza, you want to start us off maybe?
Yes, sorry about that. My service is really bad, so I apologize for my camera being off and maybe being hard to hear. But yeah, first we just wanted to thank you so much for taking this interview with us. We were hoping you could just generally tell us a little bit more about yourself before we go into our more in-depth questions about your experiences in the music industry.
Okay, cool. So I mean, hey guys, my name's Gabriel Pina. Pina is Spanish for pineapple, so that's my last name there. I've been doing music for quite a bit of time now. I've been here at the studio for about a year and a half, I want to say. But before that, I was doing this independently. So trust me when I tell you, I know all the struggles of being a musician. I was born and raised here in El Paso. I grew off of, different kind of music from, oldie Sundays to more of mariachi stuff, Vicente Fernandez, up into like pretty much modern stuff like, Drake, J. Cole, The Baby, all that good stuff. So I like to consider myself a little bit of everywhere. Yeah, right now I'm one of the mixing engineers, recording engineers, and producers for the studio. And then not only do I do music, but I also do ADR for TV shows, for movies and video games as well. And then yeah, I'm 21 years old. I don't know if I mentioned that. I'm 21. And then yeah, cool. I think that's about it. Nothing special.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So our first question about the music industry is, what made you want to become involved in recording and beat producing, and how did you get started in the industry?
Right. I think it starts pretty much generally like everybody else. It becomes more of a hobby, of a fun thing. And the more you practice at it and get better at it, the more you can see yourself doing it, full time, making a career out of it. I actually started in high school. My friends were always like, "Oh yeah, I rap and I do this," and I'm like, "Cool, man. Well, like, if you need help, let me know." And sure enough, they're like, "Yeah, you know what? Just hit record." That's literally my only thing that I did in high school, like my sophomore year, my freshman year. Just hit that big red button, record, and that's it. No editing, no mixing, and that's how everything was turned into SoundCloud back in those days. So yeah, that's pretty much how it started. Do you guys want the long answer or the short answer before I start?
Fully up to you.
Okay.
Whatever you want to share would be great for us.
Nice, cool. So then yeah, I just started off pretty much with that, right? Just hitting record and stuff like that. And then well, my friends were a bunch of troublemakers and stuff like that, so they were in and out of music, stuff like that. And I was just like, well, this is cool, but I want to learn more of the producing, how to make beats, how to, engineer, how to mix, how to edit, all that good stuff. And well, eventually I was just doing it, 5, 6 hours out of every day after high school, or even when I was in college, or when I was working a full-time job. I always try to knock out my hours for the day to keep getting better and better every day. And yeah, I was doing it for like about 4 years independently. And I actually got an internship here. And then from here, the internship, I'm now a full-time engineer producer here.
That's pretty nice that you were able to turn that
Thank
internship
you.
into a full-time position.
Yeah, man. Pretty happy for it. It doesn't feel like a job. I still feel kind of guilty getting paid from it, but I gotta pay my bills, so I'm pretty happy that I do get paid.
Kind of going off of that, we wanted to know what your favorite parts of your job are and what are your least favorite.
Okay, that's a good question. I think the best part of it, it's I'm a very, I guess I would say I'm a very social person. So to meet somebody, new, that has this grand idea of doing this, or new personalities, different personalities from all parts of the US, or even outside the US. I think it's super dope to meet people. That's probably my favorite part, just meeting new people with new experiences. Because I mean, everybody that you meet has a whole new story. Nothing is ever going to be the same. It might be similar, but nothing will ever be the same, right? And it's super dope when multiple either musicians, producers, engineers, or even artists get together in one room and just make something cool, make something fun, and then well, you know, hopefully if they're at the starting level, I hope they exceed all their goals and go big. And if they're already big, I hope they have that I guess that consistency to stay, at that level for a very long time, and be well enough to support their family, their friends, whatever they got to do. But that's probably my favorite part, the people. My least favorite. That's a hard one. I can't think of anything least favorite. Let me try. Uh, my least favorite. I've never actually taken the time to actually think of my least favorite actually. But I think deadlines are my least favorite. Just because it's the stress of like, oh my God, I have this amount of days, or this amount of hours, or this amount of, for example, my daily life is consisted on a set schedule, and I only have about like 15 to 30 minutes between each session or whatever task I'm doing. And if I delay on this first task to bring it over to the second one, now I'm stressing to be late for the second one, and now the second one's going to be late, so forth. Or even just turning in projects and stuff like that. If it's a very busy week and I have a lot of things going on, um, to us, it's like, oh, well, I'm doing this, right? But to the client, it's like, well, I went and I'm getting my project done and I'm waiting for it and stuff like that. So I think that's probably one of the stressful parts of it. I guess I would say deadlines.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like you have a really fun job. I'm going to pass it over to Gracie for the next question.
Cool.
Yeah, so kind of going off on your most favorite parts of the job, what is one memorable experience you've had on the job that really stuck with you and you can recall in detail?
My favorite parts. Let's see. I have two different ones. Uh, the first one, well, I have three. Okay, I'm just gonna just put them all out there. My first one was actually, I think, one of my first sessions, like attending here while I was interning. She had been doing her artist name is Adre. She had been doing a bunch of covers, and she had good streaming numbers on YouTube and stuff like that off of covers. And when I first started interning, she came to the studio to do her first original song, and that song actually blew up on TikTok, and it has over like 700,000 or something like that. So it was really memorable just because, well, one, it was one of my first sessions here in the studio, and two, I have that friendship with her, so it was really nice to get to know her while that was going on, and her music career was increasing drastically. And it was her major was marketing, so you guys already know that she's taken care of, she got all the ideas, all the good stuff. So I think that's one of my favorite memorable, memories from here. The second one would be my session with a client named Ebony Burks. So with her, she's, toured with like Earth, Wind, and Fire, and have met Timbaland, have like, all these crazy amount of people and all these crazy talented people. And actually on her first session here, and it was this year, um, she got here and she was just like, oh, like I saw you guys in studio, you guys are Grammy nominated, diamond single, plaques, all that good stuff. And she was like, oh, like what have you, accomplished and stuff like that? Like, do you have any Grammy nominations? And I was just like, oh, like I actually don't. So she was kind of like, oh, like why am I here, whatever. And then towards at the end of the session, she was just like, you know what, like to tell you the truth, when I usually go out to work with like other engineers in LA, New York, Chicago, I usually get frustrated because they're really slow. And with you, like I had to keep up to your speed, like you held it like beautifully. And I was just like, to me, that's like the best thing ever in the world, right? To be useful, to be resourceful and efficient. That's the number one thing that makes, a good engineer a good engineer. Because I mean, anybody can be fast, but being, I guess, being precise with the things that you do correctly and fast, like that's even better. So for her to tell me that I was one of the fastest and the good engineer, and with her status and the people that she's worked with, it meant a lot to me. So I consider that stuff a really memorable memory, just because I know that I've been working at this for a very long time. So to hear kudos is a cool thing. And then my third one. I had it when you asked me the question, but I forgot it now. The third one, it would probably. What's a funny story? It has nothing to do related to music, by the way, but it's because when we were interning, my manager, his name is Orlando Gomez. He's the chief engineer here and has all the Grammy nominations, Diamond Single, all that good stuff. He used to send us out to get 40 chicken nuggets from Burger King, and they're like $1.40 for every 10, right? And he had sent one of my coworkers, Daniel, who was an intern with me at that time. Bless you. They had asked him, they're like, oh, like Daniel, I need you to go get 40 chicken nuggets. Like I'm on my break for 30 minutes. Like if you could come back as fast as possible, and I'll munch them down and get ready for my next session. And for some reason, Daniel heard 4 chicken nuggets instead of 40. So he came back with literally only 4 chicken nuggets in a bag. And the guy at Burger King was telling him, was like, oh, sir, we only sell them by tens. Like, do you want four? We'll charge you 10, but we can give you four. Yeah, man, that's cool. Like, my boss told me four, and all this stuff. And I was just like, okay. And yeah, we drove back, and I was just kind of confused with the situation. I was like, why would he only do four? Like, it just, out of nowhere four. And yeah, sure enough, he handed him the bag, and he was just like, "Hey, Danny, like, where's my other 37? Like I'm kind of missing a huge chunk here." So that was a funny moment. But yeah, that's the third one.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna pass it over to Miguel.
I'm sure he was proud of that one. At least he was following directions though, or
Yeah,
at least he thought he was following directions.
obedience is discipline and obedience.
Um, and then so I'm gonna ask, what is it like to work with administration and management in the music industry? And have you felt that as an artist, the people like running the business and administrative ends of things get in the way of your creative ability, or like have too much of a hand over what the artists themselves are doing?
Okay, that's a good question. I personally don't think. Well, okay, there's different managers with different kind of work ethics, I guess you would say. There's the manager that controls everything because it's their money and they're investing and stuff like that, which is not the manager that you guys want, right? That's the one that you got to run the hills for, stuff like that. Luckily, I've only run into one manager like that, but it wasn't physical, like he wasn't here physically. It was more on like the money side of things. So it's just like, oh well, you know what? I'm not gonna pay for this, and I'm not gonna pay for that because of this and this and that. So it does make things a little bit difficult, especially because the artist is kind of like in the middle of it, right? Because we're over here, recording with him, having a good time, helping him, blah 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 blah. And then on the back end of things, when it's like money related, that's where we start having that conflict a little bit, right? So it's a little bit difficult, but us as professionals, we understand that it's not the artist's fault. It's more of the management. So we try to compromise with whatever we have to do, use our communication, stuff like that. And then that's like the bad side, right? That I've had to deal with the management. And on the good side, I've had a lot of managers that are really cool, laid back. They're just here to pay the bills, make sure everything is cool, everything is flowing, the vibes are good, and all the others has to do is just really just perform whatever he needs to perform that night. And then as well as I had a label band come through touring through here. They were actually on their way to San Antonio, I think, or Dallas. And while they were touring with another band, and with them, it's really simple. Like it's just four dudes that were in a band, and they came in, recorded whatever they needed to record to, and they were listening to mixes here and all that good stuff. Just pretty much using the space. And all we have to do is just run the check by the label, and that's it. That's pretty much it. Just little cool. But yeah, I think it's really more so on the manager who, like, pretty much what their worth ethic is, and what kind of person they are. If you have a manager that's more kind of shady, stuff like that, things always end up a little wonky, weird kind of area. But for the most part, I've been pretty lucky to be part of see great teams and have good managers and stuff like that. And I hope for the rest of my career it's like that, but never say never. But yeah, cool.
Nice. That's pretty nice to know that the managers and the administrators are just like relatively hands off of the artists. So kind of going along with that, my next question would be, what are some of the most common challenges you face as an artist in the industry? And is there anything that you've learned in the last year and a half, actually being a part of your company, that you've learned and how to avoid that?
Okay. I think a majority of artists, like the thing that they struggle most on is marketing, right? And I understand it. It's completely natural to be not as skillful and efficient on marketing, because it involves a lot of resources, right? It involves time, money, effort, and while it's when you're first starting, you don't know quite what your audience is like, what you're looking for, where you should target. So I think it's a bunch of trial and error, I guess I would say. Um, but the number one thing I think people always fail to do is stay consistent. And then number two, they expect results overnight, right? I've had a lot of people that are like, oh well, if I'm spending this amount of money on production, it's gonna make me sound good, and then this amount of money on a premium mix and a good studio, like it's all gonna make me sound good. Like, yeah, granted, it is gonna sound good. You're gonna make a good song, and it's gonna be really, all around good quality. But the thing that's gonna make you the money and carry that song is gonna be your marketing, right? If let's say if I made a song and I had, all these crazy producers, and then I made the song, and now it was my turn to perform, and I did really great, and I drop it like it's nothing, right? The chances of that are blowing up. I don't know how many people you can think off the top of your head that just dropped a song and didn't market it and they blew up. I can count like less than like probably five in the world, right? The only one that I can really think of is Lil Nas X, but that's like a 1%, not even one, like 0.001 chance out of the whole 100% that you might blow up without any kind of marketing. So I definitely think marketing is one thing that people do fail on a lot. And number two is consistency. They don't see numbers, and they don't see, hometown fame, anything like that. So they just kind of give up, or they delay projects, or they don't get enough inspiration, motivation. But it's more so discipline, right? When I make beats and stuff like that, or even engineering, it's more of a disciplinary act that I do it every day. and which is why I'm consistent with the way that I perform, right? If it was based on inspiration, then one song would be really good and then the other one would be average or below average, and you know. So I think that's those are the two main things that people struggle with.
Well, thank you. Those are some pretty good answers, and definitely weren't things that I was expecting to hear. So now I'm gonna hand it off to Valerie. Thanks for answering my questions.
I think so.
Hello. Okay, this is slightly personally biased of a question, but I also grew up in El Paso, so it's not really like I wouldn't classify it as like a big city, right? So, I was just wondering that do you think that the location matters like for where you work in the music industry, or does that matter less like now, or did you have has that opinion like changed over time for you?
Okay, that's a really good question. Um, I definitely think we're in the day and age of pretty much social media being your main and frontal marketing, right? So I definitely think you can blow off of, any city, any small little town, anything like that, as long as you really, really grind it and you have, the luck of the Irish and get really good streams and stuff like that. One thing for sure though is I think El Paso is particularly special because I know people are like, oh, in Texas, Austin, Houston, and stuff like that, right? The music capital of the world. That's cool, 100%. The one thing that I do like about El Paso is our military here. We have Fort Bliss, which is crazy huge, and people come in and out, every 4 years, 3 years from different parts of the world, different parts of the states. So it only brings much more talent and much more, noise, much more sound here, right? Um, there are pros and cons of, different cities, different places. Um, but I think it's more so the person that's running it behind, right? So like the artist, it's up to the artist for their marketing, their talent, and then as well as I hope they choose a really good studio to make their stuff, right? Because not to bash on any states, LA, but it is pretty saturated up there with different studios. Especially because I mean, majority of artists and talents are go over there, for labels, connections, whatever the case may be. And I 100% believe any studio can make it, but some of them are a little bit more underdeveloped than the others. So I definitely think it's a good thing to be picky in those kind of areas, right? Um, and then what else can I tell you? And then well, I have Adria, the artist that I was talking about earlier. She was actually invited to go to Latin Grammys, and they flew her out. I don't know where, but she's from El Paso. She's never left El Paso. So that just goes to show that as long as your marketing is good, if it's not TikTok, then on Instagram or YouTube, wherever the case may be, definitely anything is possible with marketing.
Yeah, it really does seem like nowadays, the barrier of being in a smaller city relative to, I don't know, the big music cities people usually think about, I guess like New York and LA. Um, this is like the final question. What advice do you have for us as students who will likely be entering into the music industry in the next few years? This is interesting to ask you because we're all around the same age, but it seems like we're kind of in very different places in terms of like our careers. So I just wanted to ask.
Gotcha.
And if I could put a twist on that one, I'm personally not an artist, but I'm trying to get in the music industry as like an administrator, as an agent, or as a manager. So could you like throw that little bit in there too?
Okay, yeah, 100%. Well, like I said, I've been doing this independently, so I've had lots and lots of days with no pay, lots of months with no pay, working long nights. I can assure you that I spent my 50 million hours, doing whatever I needed to do. So just stay patient, honestly, because everybody's gonna win who works for it, right? It might not be your time next week, next month, next year, but in 2 years it might, in 2 years and 1 month it might. You never really know. So as long as you stay consistent, number one, two, work hard at it, there's no reason you should fail, right? Especially in this life, right? Where we have access to different tools like social media. Anything is possible, and really just be on the lookout on your community as well. Because when I first started, I was always like, man, yeah, I want to work with this person and go big off my first bat. But everything starts at a micro level with your local community, with that one person that you help, that leads you to the next person, and then that person leads you to this. So definitely, I know all our heads are thinking big and big and big, but if you can make your smaller artists be highlighted, now you can introduce all those things that you learned with that small community, small stuff, and you can make a bigger impact on the large scale, right? um as far as being administrative and stuff like that, I think that is a thing of patience a little bit and hard work as much as anything else, right? And I don't like to say it's luck, because I don't believe in luck. I believe in fate, right? So if you want it, you're gonna get it. Manifestation, it's a real thing. So yeah, just be prepared for very long nights. Be prepared for heartbreak when people tell you no. It's something that you definitely have to learn. I've had plenty of no's in my life, and I always tell myself I just need that one yes, and that one yes was the internship, right? And I had my prior experience of working with clients out of the city, in the city, stuff like that. So they saw that stuff that I was working on at a local and small level, even if I was doing it for free, right? To get the experience, the exposure, whatever it was. They looked at all that and they were like, okay, now imagine an R scale, right? And I went from sessions in my bedroom for $20 a whole song, and 5 hours of work in those $20, to working with I did the American dubbing for My Hero Academia last week. I worked with Grammy nominated artists. My mentors are Grammy nominated artists and Diamond Single certified engineers. So I definitely think if you work hard enough, fate will come to you, and you'll be great at it.
That's all great stuff. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. And does anybody else have any more questions they want to add at the end?
I think that's about it. I just want to say thanks again, and I also owe Joseph a huge thanks because he connected me to you.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you so much for spending your time, helping us out with a class project, and we've learned a lot from talking to you today. So I'm gonna stop recording now.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.